Why do we even have International Women's Day? They're not the only people who still exist.
What about an International Men's Day? 50-odd years of fighting for women, we forgot the role that men play in our society.
They wanted equality. No, they just wanted to be prioritized.
They wanted the same respect we once had, and now we've lost it all.
Focusing on gender. I can do everything a woman can.
And better, but now they got a special request.
Actually, that's not true. I stand before you today with my hair straightened, ears with gold hoops, lashes covered in mascara, and shiny lip gloss. When you see me, I'm a woman. I'm feminine, so I must be nurturing, loving, and played with Barbies growing up. And yes, I'm a lot of those things, and I did grow up pushing around a baby doll in a pram, loving her more than anything. But I also made a radio when I was 8, and I learned to code at 10, and played cricket in the back with my brother. I was curious, and I was loud and unapologetically messy, because I'm more than just a woman. I'm more than my gender. My gender never has, and never should at least, confine me to some list of stereotypes. I sit in physics class every single day while I'm surrounded by testosterone-filled boys whose egos outweigh my high-pitched voice. I feel belittled consistently, like I'm not good enough unless I'm the best. I have to work 10 times harder than to even get noticed. They sit in class, throwing around scrunch-up piece of paper, making fun of each other, while I sit in my corner solving question after question, hoping to get the slightest bit of recognition. There was this one time I knew I had the answer. My hand was halfway up, and I was ready to answer the question. But there came a voice, louder, more confident, and the moment was gone. And that's the reality for most women, where speaking up feels like interrupting, where courage taken as ignorance. And why is this? Why do we have this bias to gender? If we defy those stereotypes, we're too much, we're too loud, and we're too ambitious. In history, a woman's name is barely ever mentioned. They became folklore characters that you only hear for the first time in class. We've all heard of Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, right? Genius, wise, powerful, ancient Greek men. But what about Aspasia? A woman, a foreigner, a prostitute. Not wise, not powerful, and not genius. In a society that kept women out of public life, she was able to shape the center. Because did you know, Aspasia taught Socrates how to debate, and he went on to teach her ideas to Aristotle and Plato. And they went on to use her ideas to influence and build one of the biggest societies we've ever seen. While men stood in the spotlight, her ideas stood behind them and was able to build one of the biggest societies ever. And that is the case for most women, where when they work in male-dominated spaces, they go unrecognized. Hidden women aren't noticed because they choose to be. They become systematically unheard. What about Rosalind Franklin? She had such a key role in finding the structure of DNA. But do you find her name when you searched up in Google? Or what about Ada Lovelace, who made the first algorithm and had such a key involvement in the development of computer science, which is now one of the most male-dominated fields? Or what about Katherine Johnson, who while working in segregated offices based on both her gender and race, was able to use her genius and talent to send astronauts to space? Now, what do all these women have in common? They work in male-dominated fields and industries. Women who work in these industries are not underrepresented. They're not heard. They don't get the recognition because of a bias that we have to gender. Research from Harvard Business School found that men are more likely to speak up in meetings and be heard. And if a woman does speak up, a male will later on repeat that idea and get the recognition for it instead of her. A study from Administrative Science Quarterly found that women won't even get noticed in these workplaces unless they've been able to build such a high-quality resume, meaning they have to consistently prove themselves and prove their worth. And they have to put in so much more work than a man to get the same amount of recognition. And this is not only in workplaces. In global news media, women make up 24% of the credited sources. Now, why is this? How come do we barely give the same recognition to women that we do give to men? It's not because one gender is trying to rise above the other. It's because we choose to see that gender first at all, and we build our bias based on that. And when we do that, we don't impact one gender. We impact everyone, which leads to the rise of the manosphere. This can be seen on social media platforms, such as TikTok and YouTube, where popular influencers, such as Andrew Tate, are teaching billions of young men an idealistic viewpoint on what masculinity should be, teaching strength over sensitivity, power over vulnerability. And when we teach boys they must be alpha and girls they must be likable, we force people to be in a box that they never chose to be. We define people to who they are based on their appearance and what we think they're supposed to do. Because we choose to see the long lashes in a dress and the beard and pants before we see the talent, before we see who they truly are and provide them that right recognition. Now, how do we change this? How do we allow open spaces where people can speak vulnerably and not be told they're doing too much and they need to quiet down? We start by looking further and looking at the talent. You can't simply judge someone based on that list of stereotypes you already have. You can't look at someone and say, you cannot do this, or this is not your field or your space, because you don't know that person. Their voices carry authenticity. They carry truth and hard work and talent just like everyone else. And this can be so clearly seen in the WNBA Pay Us What You Owe Us. This is about more than just salary. This is about recognition. Female athletes work equally as hard as male athletes. They train the same amount of hours, put in the same amount of work and dedication. They go to the same unis, the same schools, but they receive half the recognition. They don't receive at all the same media coverage, and they continuously go unrecognized. But why? Why do they not receive the same amount of respect when they work as hard? It's because this issue goes towards the corporate level where this bias is consistently seen, because this thing is not about salary. It's truly just about recognition. Women being underrepresented in these fields has never been the issue. It's simply them going unheard because we choose to diminish their voices as soon as we see the faces who are speaking. And I ask you, why do we do this? How come can we continue to let this bias happen? And when we're a society that's developing, the issue has never been one gender rising above the other. It's that we set gender as the standard. I am a woman, and I'm proud of my gender, but I refuse to be reduced to it because I am so much more. My voice is authentic. I'm talented, and I know I am. Their voices, everyone's voice has their own special skill and their own genuine ability. But when we see the face and when we see the makeup, the long hair, the pants, the beard, etc., we choose to focus on that and we diminish the person themselves. We need to stop seeing gender. We need to stop seeing and hearing that high-pitched voice and choosing we know exactly what they're on about, because we don't until we truly choose to look at their talent and the hard work they put in. I'm more than my pink bedroom. I'm more than the length of my hair. I'm a voice to be heard. We are all voices to be heard, and I don't deserve to be biased based on my gender. No one does deserve that treatment. You can choose to keep me as a whisper and to choose to keep me silent based on what you believe in your perceivance. But I will speak louder. We will all speak louder until we are heard and receive the recognition we deserve, until we get into that spotlight. Because the issue is not that women want to be better. The issue is never striving for equality. The issue is that we need to stop seeing gender first. We need to see each other and recognize each other for human beings first and foremost. Thank you.